Hello and welcome. So thank you for coming. It's the free introduction to family and systemic constellations work to do today. Guessing some of you will know the work a lot, some of you maybe a little bit, and some of you brand new to the work. So I'm Lucy Ascham, and this is my sort of take on the work at the moment as of January 2025. It keeps emerging. I keep on gaining new clarity and learning new things. But this is how it is at the moment. So I've got a slideshow to show you so that there's visuals to look at. I'm planning on doing a little demonstration and asking for somebody to come and be my buddy on screen for that. And then the plan is to put you into breakout rooms so that you can go and actually have a little experience of this work. Those breakout rooms will not be recorded. That's just private, whatever goes on in there. And then when you come back to the main room, that will be recorded again. And I ask you not to share anything on behalf of the other person. So you can share anything that happened for you that you feel comfortable going up on YouTube, but please don't share anything on behalf of your breakout buddy. And then just this sort of overview of the shape of the session. I'm then going to have sort of questions and answers, and then there's a chance for one person to be the sort of demonstration issue holder. So we get a chance to see what it's like for a couple of other people to be representatives and how the session itself might go. So if you're there, give me a thumbs up if that sounds all right to you. Thank you very much. So I'm going to share my screen now, and then the presentation can begin. Let me just check, is this working? Great, can you all see that? Thank you. So just so you know you're in the right place, this is the free 90-minute introduction to family and systemic constellations work with me, Lucy Ascham. I live and work in Sheffield in the United Kingdom and work worldwide online. So the family constellations work is the name given to the work by German psychotherapist Bert Hellinger. And he was looking at this idea of phenomenology. And it's about all the things that we feel in our body, all the things that we notice, all the things that are going on around us. And that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of the technology, how we can actually use the information that's within not just our own bodies, but in our history in this present moment. So he articulated the orders of love, as he called them, and looked at how we can actually disentangle ourselves from unresolved traumas from previous generations. This idea that if it wasn't resolved in a previous generation, it comes down into the next generation and then the next one until some of that is able to be either diluted or resolved. And it's rooted in the African Zulu wisdom. So my journey with this work began in 2001 whilst training as an Alexander Technique teacher in Cumbria. And since 2008, I've been benefiting from working with neuroscience educator and constellator Sarah Payton in the USA. She's written a book called Your Resonance Self, which is about neuroscience and healing for the brain. So I was encouraged by her to train in the constellations work, which I did in Bristol with the Centre for Systemic Constellations, who I highly recommend. And I'm deeply influenced by Sarah and her work, and just graduated as a resonant healing language practitioner, and now starting on another year of training with her in the neuroscience of family constellations. I also want to honour her teacher, Master Constellator Elena Veselago from Moscow, who is very influential as well with my work. So the constellations, the name, I think, comes not from astrology or the stars themselves, but more trying to look at the kind of particular pattern of where we are in our family in the wider context of that, and that system. So our environment, our religion, those different things, and that particular pattern that is ours, and how all those stars, all those elements would be relating to each other. So this approach reveals the hidden dynamics and unresolved traumas that can affect family members. So it's a bit like, the wind, and how we can't necessarily see the wind, but we can see the effects of it. And so in this work, we can actually make some of those invisible bonds more visible and put them into, if there's people in a workshop, we can do it into a sort of moving 3D map, having people, inviting them to come and be representatives for the issue holder. I'll come into that. And we actually see the interconnectedness and how one person relates to another element. So we're highlighting and uncovering some of these patterns, these hidden unconscious patterns that go on within the family system. And we're looking at really what blocks it. So quite often I get calls from people saying, I don't really know, what can I bring to this work? So genuinely, there is nothing that is taboo. But also some of the sort of easy questions to answer with this work as we explore is what blocks something? What blocks money flowing into my life? What blocks me from having a relationship? What blocks me from making peace with my health? What blocks me from experiencing trauma and recovering from that? So being able to tune into our body is very important. And that's one of the things we're going to look at today in the little demonstration and breakout rooms. Okay. So when we're talking about systems, family, for sure, is one system that we all live in, whether we knew our parents or not. We're all born into a family. We all had a mother, we all had a father. Our brain is a system, our body is a system, the community we live in and work in, they are systems, any religion or country, the planet, these are all different systems. So this is systemic work, how we fit into all of those layers, if you like, and how they interrelated. So I'm going to, I'm wondering whether any of you have seen these. So there's a Netflix drama called Another Self. So that's introduced a lot of people to this work because it is the therapy that they use in that. So it's a story about some friends, 3 women, and their health, their careers, their love life, their friendship, their family relationships. And so all of those things are actually literally brought into constellation workshops with a particular person who it's based in Turkey, and the original is in Turkish. But they've done a good job on Netflix to actually dub it into English, or you can do it with subtitles. During COVID, Gwyneth Paltrow and her Goop Lab had a look at constellations work. And so, there's an image of somebody constellating and a group of people outside. It's not so common to be doing it outside, but some people do work with the land. They do work with horses as well. And then Disney's Encanto is a beautiful musical, and that's definitely based on intergenerational trauma and people who are missing and how that still affects those who survive. And it kind of leaves a hole in their family until they're given their place and able to belong again. And in the end of that song, there's a song, and Mirabelle, who's the main character, she actually talks about, this is my family constellation. This is my family constellation. So I'm convinced that somebody who knew about this work was involved in that Disney film, which is very exciting. So the process, there are 3 basic sort of positions within the work. So the facilitator, in this case it's me, but there are many trained facilitators around the world. So I'm the one who interviews and guides and supports the process in the moment. And so part of that is actually sort of interviewing the person so that they can get clearer. They often come with lots and lots of different things, lots of situations, lots of complex and slightly chaotic things. And so it's my job to try and help them find a line, find a way through, a starting point where we can start to explore together. And we do that in the constellation itself. And then there's the seeker, client, or issue holder. So different names, but they're the person who bring their own material, their own unresolved material to actually focus on. And we can do that, in person with one person. We can do it with a small group. We can work online with one person or a group. That sort of technical technology doesn't make so much difference. It's more about the process and the trust between the facilitator and the issue holder. But most importantly, there are also people who come along to witness. So a lot of issues that people bring are related to shame and personal issues that they kind of think, oh, it's only me. I'm the only one who struggles with this. I'm the only person. So actually having witnesses, people who are there to support, to give attention to something, actually can, help for that shame to be dissolved and healed. And then in a group workshop, so imagine we're in person, but it can work online, of course. But if you imagine a group sitting in a circle, it's me, the person next to me, the issue holder, everybody's a witness until and if I'm then inviting somebody to come and represent. And it could be that I ask them to stand up and represent a family member. Could you be this person's mother? Could you be their father? Could you be a country? Could you be an emotion? Could you be the money, the relationship? So there's all sorts of different ways we could go, and that's for me to sort of figure that out and try it out. So it's an exploration. I work with a hypothesis and kind of go, where is the blockage? Where's the misidentification? Where's the entanglement? And so having people who are willing to actually stand up and represent, it brings it really clearly into an embodied sense. And people can very easily then see, oh, when that person came in or that element came in, this person then wanted to move and they wanted to go away, or it caught their attention and they wanted to come and be closer. So I'll share a little bit about how that works in a minute. But really, genuinely, the healing is there for everybody. It's not just for the issue holder. Some people get really keen on the idea that, they have to bring their own material. It has to be exactly their own, story, their own issue that they're wanting to work with. But actually, there's great benefit to be had from watching. Some people are a bit more sort of shy, and it can take a little while for them to get in it. I think I might have attended about 5 workshops before I felt comfortable to be the issue holder. Not all facilitators will have prepaid issue holder places. They will just have a group of people and then ask for volunteers on the day, and they will then choose who feels ready, who feels ready to do that work. So different people work in different ways. But yeah, I've had some of the best experiences in constellations work by actually being a representative. I remember one time standing up and representing anger. And in my life as Lucy, I was scared of anger. I thought anger meant violence. I thought anger meant somebody's going to get hurt. And so I was a bit scared. I was thinking, oh God, what's going to happen here? And am I going to hurt somebody? Am I going to, feel drawn to do some violence of some sort? And, that is definitely not encouraged or allowed in constellations work, but I was fearful for myself. And actually, when I stepped in as a representative, as anger, it was just a very clear sense of protection. I was between the person and another person, and I was just ready. I had zero anger in me. I didn't have any hostility or any sense of violence. I was just a ready sort of barrier, if you like, to step in if needs be to protect one of the people. And that just has transformed my relationship with anger. I've had an embodied, felt sense of what that's like. I'm no longer scared of anger because I know that as in and of itself, it's an emotion, it's energy. It doesn't have to lead to anything bad happening. And in fact, it is a protective natural force. So that was a huge discovery for me. So, what I am going to invite you to do in a minute is to do what I call the 1 minute exercise on actually being a representative. So, I will ask for someone to demonstrate this as well. So, there's quite a few words here. You don't need to sort of get it all in your head to begin with, but we're going to ask one person to work with so they can think of something that they're curious about. So, it doesn't need to be the biggest thing that you in your life. That wouldn't be helpful. You've just got 1 minute to look at something. But it might be somebody you're curious about, the neighbor you've got in a disagreement about with the fence, for example, or, somebody you've not seen for a while, you just a grandparent you haven't seen or didn't know. Something you might sort of deem as a small thing. That's what we're looking for. So it's a learning experience rather than I've got to make this into a big healing experience. The second person gets to have a go and see what it's like to be a representative. So I'm keen for you to just start by thinking and noticing how your body is. So we've got a sort of a benchmark, a base layer, to kind of go, this is me. And then if anything changes, you can report that difference. Oh, I suddenly felt cold. I was quite warm to begin with. I suddenly felt cold. Oh, I felt quite sort of clear-headed and now I feel really sleepy. These are the kind of things that we're interested in. So it's nothing to worry about. Sometimes people get no information. They kind of feel quite numb or just empty. That is also information. So please don't make anything up. Don't try and sort of act anything out. We're going to do this in silence in the breakout room so that you just really get to tune into what your body is experiencing and reporting that as clearly as possible. Oh, I was looking at you to begin with. I was interested, and then suddenly I didn't want to look at you anymore and I looked away. This is the kind of information that we're working with. So yeah, please do trust any and all of your responses, even if it feels like there isn't anything happening. So then you'll spend a minute together in silence and just let yourself move. So you can just explore a little bit. Is it better if I'm closer? Is it better if I'm further away? If I was with them in person, would I want to touch them? And that's always by consent or not. And then, just go really slowly and just see what happens and kind of clock any changes. And then when we've stopped that minute, then person B, the representative, gets to share, well, this is what was happening in my body. This is what I noticed. So try not to make up any story, and you're not going to know. That's the important thing in this exercise. You're not going to know who you're representing. So this is silently for the person to have, I'm going to choose, if I may, Kate, if I may just choose you for the moment. So if we were in a demo together, I would have an idea of, I'm going to look at let's say my cat. And I would say to myself, I want Kate to represent my cat. It's not that, but and then I wouldn't tell her who or what she is. And then we just spend a minute in that relationship and we would see what happens. And then we come back together. Kate would tell me how it is for her. And then if I wanted to, I could tell her that she was my cat, but I do not have to do that. That's not what's important. It's just seeing what happens energetically while you try this out in that silent pair for that whole minute. Is that clear enough for now? Are there any questions? You can put them in the chat, or you can come off mute and just ask if there are any questions.
Sorry, I really didn't get it. So one in the room, I assume that person is the character I want, is my issue, without telling them.
Exactly. So, there's two people. If you're the person with the query in your mind, you take it in turns, so then you'll swap as well. But if you're the issue holder, then you will have it in your mind, set an intention. I want this person to represent this issue for me. You don't tell them.
I don't tell them. Okay.
I know. Because then there's much less likely that we're going to make anything up, because we're not kind of going, oh, well, this is how it would be to be a mother. This would be how it is to be a country. We just report whatever we notice in our bodies. Yeah. So I would like to do a demo with somebody, and then hopefully it will get clearer as well. So I don't know, Constanza, would you like to do that? Would you be happy to do that?
Yes, if I understand what I'm doing, yeah. You can try it.
I'll guide you as well. So do you have a sense of whether you'd like to be person A or person B for this?
Doesn't matter.
Do you want to?
I can try number A, yeah?
Okay, lovely. So you're going to be the person who silently thinks to yourself of a smallish issue that you're curious to explore. So it could be a person you know very well, it could be a person you don't, but somebody linked to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm going to notice how my body is to begin with. So I can feel, my bottom's on the chair quite, well. I'm feeling quite clear. I'm a bit excited because I love sharing this work, but here I am. I know myself now. So now I'm going to tune into you, and I'm going to think I'm available to represent what you've got in your mind, and you're going to think, yeah, this is who and what I want Lucy to be. Is that clear enough for now?
I want you now to be that person.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't tell me who it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to have a minute. Kate, if I could ask you to just give me a sign when we're up to a minute. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to come out of that role now. We can come back together, Constanza. And then I'm going to share with you, if that's okay, what I noticed in my body. So you may have seen that actually my sort of upper arms and shoulder girdle were kind of twitching a little bit up and down and back and forth. And I wasn't making that happen. That's just what wanted to come through my body. I noticed for the most part, I wanted to have my eyelids closed. And when I opened them, I was aware that you were there, but I didn't look. I didn't kind of want to look in your direction. I was quite happy looking just down my little patch of ground. So I don't know, how is that for you to hear?
Interesting, for sure.
Hmm. Does that make any sense for you in terms of, who you were thinking I was going to be?
Yeah. Yeah.
So without telling me who I was, I don't want a particular name, but could you say a little bit about what you recognized or what seemed, true there?
Yeah, it's a family member. We don't live in the same country, but he certainly, I think, is not ready to engage with me on some level.
Mm,
It's scared of me, maybe.
mm, interesting. Yeah. So, this is thank you very much, Constanza. So that's the end of the exercise, if you like.
Mhm.
And it just sort of shows that there is some information that I was able to pick up and report in my body. In the same way that I don't really understand electricity, but I can plug things in and I can use it, there is this energy. It's called, some people call it the morphic field or the resonant field. And it's like the things that actually bind us, you know how it is if you go into a room, you can tell whether people have just been laughing or whether you've come in it, sort of when they might have been talking about you or there's something, we can feel what that emotion is. We can feel something about the kind of things in between people, the air, the space in between us. And what we're doing here is we're looking at that space in between, which also includes all of time and kind of no time at the same moment. So, Kate, and also, yeah, is everybody happy to go into a breakout room? If not, and you know how to rename yourself, could you put an equal sign in front of your name? And then you won't go into a breakout room, you'll just stay in the main room. And if you can't do that or don't know how to do it, just send a message to Kate if you can. If that's not possible, then just wave a hand and we'll try and figure it out for you. Okay, so these instructions will be copied into the chat so that when you get into the breakout room, you can actually read all of this and have a go. You'll get 10 minutes in total, so you don't get very long to actually do this in terms of deciding who the other person's going to be. You've got a minute, you've got a couple of minutes to kind of chat at the end and compare notes, and then you swap over. So you each get a turn to be the issue holder, each get a chance to be the representative. And then we'll meet back in the main room and I will ask what you discovered for yourself, if you've got any questions at that point.
Lucy, there may be one group of 3. Is that okay?
That would be fine, yes.
Okay.
So,
and yeah, is last thing, if anyone doesn't want to be in a breakout, please let me know.
Thank you, Kate.
So I will assume everyone is okay and I'm ready to open the rooms.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
I'll see you in 10 minutes time.
All right.
Welcome back. So just to remind you that this is being recorded, it will be put on YouTube. So if you're not happy to have your face on, then now's a good time to turn your video off. Okay, great. Welcome back from the breakout room. So I'm wondering how that went for you. So again, just for sort of confidentiality, don't talk about somebody else's stuff, but please do share anything that you discovered during that, or if you've got any questions. I'd love to hear from a couple of people.
I was surprised, but actually both of us really picked up some of the essence of the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was, Henrietta. It was really enjoyable, and there was some tangible, interesting things felt, for sure.
Yeah, it is a surprise, isn't it, when you get that? Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else got anything they'd like to share? Okay, great. So again, Kate, if I could just ask you to mute people for the recording, and then I'll go back to the slides. Thank you. I think I was looking at something else during the break, so now I have to find my slideshow again. Our Foxton Park house, where I'm due to be giving a workshop in there we are, in mid-March. Screen. Now back again. So that was the demo and the breakout rooms. A picture of me with a book on energy that I wrote a chapter for. And then that's a picture of me with one of the groups at our Foxton Park house, which is a Buddhist retreat centre in the making. And I go there twice a year to do weekends of this constellations work. And it's done on a dana basis, which means you can, dana literally means generosity. And so it's residential for a couple of days. Sometimes people camp or they bring their little van and sleep in that. There are a couple of places you can stay inside the house. But anyway, it just gives you an insight into some of the groups that I run. Yeah, so I work in private and in group sessions, online and in person. So typically, if I'm doing a one-to-one constellation with somebody, it will be a 2-hour session. And then after that, if they want to come back and do another layer and another thing and another thread, then that would be could be a 1 or a 2-hour session. And so if they're coming in person, I sometimes use these little Playmobil figures, or we can actually stand in the room ourselves and with the two of us doing like that dyad exercise you just did. And when I'm working online, there's a very simple kind of whiteboard that I can draw on and then mark out some simple stick figures to show people who and what. And you can move those and manipulate them, and that can be very helpful too. Okay, so what I'd like to do next is actually do a demonstration of this with somebody in person. Yeah, here's the small print for my workshops. So this is not a training for you to then go and start doing these dyads with friends, family, clients. You know, it's actually really can be very profound work, and it's just me, you know, offering this work. So I'm not a big business. It's just me trying to do the tech, trying to do the marketing, trying to do everything. And thank you very much, Kate, for being here to actually help host the Zoom today and record it. But just to also say that, you know, it's not classed as therapy. It's not a substitute for counselling. And sometimes when people are quite off balance, then this work, you know, may not be suitable. Sometimes people do come with their counsellor. That might be helpful, so they actually look at something in the round and then they can go and do some more talking therapy around that afterwards. So just to highlight that. So what I'd like to do, I wonder if there's somebody who would like to be my demo buddy, and I would do a small constellation and just to sort of setting something up and having a little look in so that someone can see what that interview process might be like, where I might sort of find a little seedling to start off with, and how it would be to perhaps bring in 1 or 2 people as representatives and see what they can actually bring in terms of different information and perspectives. So is there somebody who feels like, yes, they'd like to explore something and are willing to do that for the recording? feel. Thank
Do
you.
something.
Yeah, lovely.
Is this something I'm going to name aloud?
Yes, so I would suggest that you don't name the person's name because they presumably haven't given consent to be recorded. So you might say, a family member, but I don't want to know their personal name.
What if it's not a person, but a situation? Would that still be relevant for the demo?
Yeah, again, that would absolutely fine. But again, if you work in a company and there's only two of you and you say my colleague or my boss, that might identify that person.
So
So
if I said my lawyer,
I think that most of us wouldn't know who that would be.
okay.
Yeah. So if I can just pin you. I meant to do this earlier. Pin myself. Okay. Okay.
So a little bit of story is what
Yeah.
we're looking for.
Just a couple of sentences. What is it that you're bringing that you'd like us to explore together?
So, well, it's a financial block, but it's also a block on this land that we have, where we've had to just go through heck to get it to try and put it up for sale. Like people wanted to buy it, but then they saw all this legal paperwork heck. And we paid for the legal paperwork heck to be taken care of and promised that it would be done in a third of a time. And now we're like on 20 months. And the lawyer left the firm, and then the other lawyer is a family friend. It's like, well, she left. And it's like, that's not an excuse to not get back to me for a month. You realize she dropped the case like a month ago, And so then I got that message and I haven't gotten anything back in a few weeks. And I don't really appreciate having to, be confrontational or I guess self-advocate. Yeah.
Of course. So there's a piece of land, you want to sell it, and then there's legal stuff, and then it's stalled. It's not resolved yet.
Yeah, we had to get all the stuff resurveyed, and then the lawyers have to take it to the county, and the county has to adopt the thing. But it might also be stalled because there was some weird thing where the power lines gifted a plot of land to another county and it cuts our land in half. And so it might be sitting on top of a larger thing that happened, and we didn't really want to mess with the larger thing that had happened, but it might be one of those things we show up and we're like, hey, do we want to discuss that you did this? Since you're taking so long to do our paperwork because it deals with this,
Yeah. So for you then, what is it that you're longing for? What would your heart's desire be in this situation?
The paperwork to be done. It was all supposed to be done like a year ago. So all the paperwork to be done, everything being okay to just put the land up for sale. Like the letter of designation from the county that it can be built on, which it should already exist, and then the legal description updated and really just everyone to just do their job. It's a very simple clerical job that has to be done. We've paid for it. We've given everyone all the documents. You just have to put it into the damn computer.
So something's getting in the way for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with a little look, if we will, about you, and we can, if you're happy to be you. And then I'm going to ask somebody else to represent the land. Do I have a volunteer who's happy to represent the land? Yeah. I can't see. Is that you, Barbara? Is that you, Sarah?
Sarah and Barbara both volunteered. They were my breakout partners too, so that's cool.
Okay, so Sarah, if I could ask you to be the land, and then Barbara, I might use you for something else, if that's all right. Thank you.
When I see the land represented, I feel so sad because it's such a lovely little piece of land with a creek in the back, and we had dreams of living there one day.
Okay, so are you sad to be having to sell it then? Is there part of you that's still kind of hanging on to it, do you think?
Well, I say no. I live in Florida, and we have to sell all the land in Florida. But then there is the part of me that's like, no, I'm really fucking sad. I'm really sad here.
Yeah, of course you're sad. Yeah. And the land, how are you doing?
Well, I felt quite joyful and quite free. And I did then have a response when Marcille was talking about her sadness, kind of like almost a feeling like I'm always here. I'm always here. Yeah, but it's not. It's a bit hard to put in because perhaps because I don't think in words, but yeah.
Thank you. How's that for you to hear, Marcille?
It feels like when you lose someone, but then you have a dream where you get to talk to them.
And you know, I'm curious about if we could, Barbara, are you willing to step in for something? Yeah, thank you. So I'd like to invite you in as what's getting in the way of this sale. Well, so I don't want you to think about it. I just want you to inhabit that role, if you like. What gets in the way of the sale? So first of all, if I can go to Marcille, what's it like for you to see Barbara here representing what gets in the way of the sale?
Heartbreaking.
And how is it for you, Barbara? How's your body doing, if I may ask?
So I had this image of, I just could see the hands. So the hands were doing that kind of movement. They were like kind of grabbing into it and trying to hold onto it and then releasing. And it was kind of happening in a very rhythmic way. You know, it's just like one moment, yes, I just want to give it, and then I want to grab onto it. Yeah, and that real fluctuation between letting go and not being willing to let go.
Yeah.
I saw because I'm 6th-generation Floridian and my boys are 7. So when she was talking about that, I saw like lots of ancestors that had lived here, and then I've been talking to my boys about living in an eco village for a while, but when we said we were leaving Florida, they cried. So I'm seeing a lot of family connections to Florida.
So this land is actually
It's
land
not that,
families lived on for many generations?
no, not this particular land, but in the state of Florida, we've lived for many generations.
Yeah.
In various places in Florida, but just being in Florida, we've been here for generations. So I grew up in the county it's in, but it's different from the land I grew up on. And we have our house in St.
Not
Pete.
something you inherited, is that right?
Yeah, love for the ecology here, knowing how like mangroves and how growing cycles are here, things like that. Just being very in tune in the family with this particular land and grow zones, and we know how the disasters work. We know how the animals work. We're not scared of gators. We're not scared of my boys around gators. They're Florida boys.
Right. And so, Sarah, if I may ask you as the land, how are you doing hearing about what gets in the way of the sale? Is there any change for you?
Yeah, there was a definite change when that came in. Before I was quite clear and, you know, my whole, I felt fine. But when that came in, I felt lots of kind of stress in my whole stomach area, and I've got this pain here. And and when Marcel was talking, I could just feel all this kind of difficulty. Kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. And how is it for you, Marcel, hearing this?
I got really afraid. Afraid that whoever buys the land isn't gonna like honor the earth there, and just worried it was gonna just become concrete filled.
Yeah. You can imagine then that there is that kind of push and pull. It's like you want to sell the land, but maybe you're unhappy because you think it might not go to people who would really honor it and value it and tend to it in the way that is what, you know, has been in your heart and your love for the land.
Yeah, and not be locals. We're very much venture capitalism is very moving in.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, you know, in your family, you know, are there other people who've ever had trouble with buying and selling land or any land rights issues?
I don't know why, but John Spearman came in. That's the book's based on. It doesn't even say I'm Irish in any of the genealogies, but he was an Irishman who was told to leave Ireland and come to the US when it was the colonies. I don't know why that's
relative
coming
of
in.
yours?
What?
Is he a relative of yours?
Yes, he's one of the like founders. I don't know. My dad's mother's side has all these books, and I was just owned by the other 3/4 of my family. But him, the guy who that book is derived from, who was sent here, came to my mind because I don't know, he did some crime, so they sent him here.
I'm wondering if there's even a question mark about how, you know, people kind of came to own this land in the first place.
Yeah, this was a wedding gift from my brother-in-law who bought things on tax deeds auctions. And I know you don't know, but we basically charge people tax deeds, and if they're not able to stay on top of the taxes on land, and if they don't stay on top of it, the government takes their land within 3 years and then puts it up for auction. So it's just a way our government does land theft from people.
Yeah. So I wonder whether we might have somebody to come in and represent the government.
Oof. Yes, they're all over this
Be
bit,
willing
aren't
to
they?
step in as that?
How can that be their land? They sold it to us. This is a great one. Yes.
Okay, so that's fine. I'm gonna bring in some inanimate object because it doesn't have to always be a person. It could be a picture of
I
something.
got a creeper.
Okay.
Oh, if you want me to.
Well, but
Oh,
I think we'll do both, because each time
Yeah.
I take mine out, yours comes in at the same time. Let's
Okay. They're related to each other. I mean, there's a couple governments going on.
Yeah.
Ah.
Does it affect anybody having two representatives here for the government?
I feel my my arms have got really heavy and my hands have got really tingly, but the rest of me is okay.
Anything change?
Yeah, I just felt quite overwhelmed as well.
Well, this one could be Hillsborough, the county that technically doesn't own it. We could be like, go away.
Mhm.
Because that's the government we're trying to say it doesn't belong in. So this right now it says it belongs in two governments.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it can't exist in two governments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the land, if I could offer you a sentence, would you say to what gets in the way of the sale, I don't actually belong to any county or any person.
I don't actually belong to any county or any person.
I belong to the planet.
I belong to the planet.
Yeah. What happens for you? What gets in the way?
Yeah, I'm just feeling goosebumps everywhere and this sense of exactly, like, yeah, that's the right statement. That's the statement of truth about this land.
So, Marcel, I'm going to offer you a sentence and see whether this might be true for you. Whether you could say to the land, we've been custodians for a while.
We've been custodians for a while.
And we had dreams, we had different plans for what we might do together.
And we had dreams, we had different plans for what we might do together.
Yeah. And my heart breaks that we can't do that together.
My heart breaks that we can't do that together.
And then see if you can say, but I release you.
But I release you.
In the hope that you'll find some other good custodians.
Hope that you find other good-hearted custodians.
What's that like for the land, or what gets in the way of the sale?
Yeah, it felt good. I felt like a compassion and a sense of being kind of beyond it all, which is what I feel, what I've been feeling when I look at Marcel. But when the other things came in, like the government and stuff, I didn't feel so beyond it all, didn't feel so above it all. But when I'm connected to Marcel, I feel like that sentence is easy to say, that I don't belong to any one.
Thank you. What gets in the way of the sale? How are you doing?
I've noticed deepening of the breath. So the breath became like a wave of the sea. So equal inhalation and equal exhalation.
And Marcel, how are you doing?
Feels like I got to grieve something I hadn't grieved before. I was stuck in the cloud.
Okay, so thank you very much. It's you know, I'm going to end this exploration now, if that feels like an okay place, Marcia.
Yeah.
If we can de-roll people, so if you say thank you
I
to
release you, the land, or Sarah, and I give you what is yours, and I keep what is mine. And Barbara, thank you. I release you from your role, and I keep what is mine, and I leave you with what is yours.
thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to unpin you all now and just open it up to the floor. So thank you very much for being willing to demonstrate that. So it gives a little insight, I hope, into, you know, what kind of things we might look at, what kind of things the representatives might be able to pick up on behalf of the issue holder. Anyone got any questions or anything else they'd like to say, having seen that? Is there anything that you felt and noticed in your body watching it?
Do you know that I felt anger because from I don't know what the laws are like in the States, but from a British point of view, I'd be straight onto the ombudsman, because to me it looked like the conveyancing solicitor or whatever, dragging the feet. That's answerable. You'd be straight to the ombudsman, or there's a reasonable, no, there's regional solicitors, and there's multiple places you can complain to get that sorted and get the wheels in motion. And me being an action taker, I would be right on that. In fact, I'd be pulling the catapult back now, me. Yeah, absolutely, get to it.
Yeah, and thank you, because you know what sometimes well, often happens is in the circle, so the people who are witnessing it, like you were, they'll pick up another strand. So although I hadn't actually asked for someone to represent anger, you know, you may well have been.
I'll do that well.
Hmm?
I'll do that well.
Yeah, thank you. But do you see what I mean? It's like, you know, each person watching it might feel a bit of a different flavour. Some people are like, oh, I can't bear this, and they might fall asleep. It's sort of too much for their nervous systems. But, you know, each of people here watching it may get a different slice of what's going on here and be
perspective,
able to,
isn't it? The way you look at it.
Yeah, for sure. And someone in the chat says, I got chills when you said the land doesn't belong to anyone. Yeah, thank you. So were there any questions about what we've done? Any comments, anything you'd like to say?
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Okay, so I think we'll wrap it up there, but I really appreciate you coming to spend this time together and to have a little, you know, closer look at what this work is. So, you know, even if you don't decide that you want to work with me, I really recommend this as a form of work, this Family Systemic Constellations work, as a way of looking at different issues, different things that trouble us, things that block us, things that we're carrying around and can't seem to, you know, sort out in any other way. And so, you know, it does bring new perspectives. It does bring different insights. And having it done in an embodied way, especially with, you know, other people who are able to stand up and give us their embodied phenomenological feedback, I think is incredibly valuable. So, Kate, if I could ask you to just put in a link. I've got a workshop coming up here in Sheffield, but this is just my Eventbrite, which is a good place to find constellations workshops given by various people, some of them online, some of them in person. But I'm going to ask Kate to, thank you very much, Kate, as well for doing this, but end the recording now.